in the final group game of ongoing FIFA World Cup tonight. Details of these and more in a moment. And now the news in full. The Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly has taken steps towards addressing the growing concerns over excessive bride price and marriage requirements in communities across the state. This followed a motion sponsored by the member representing Ikorabasi, Istunobolo State Constituency, Honorable Selima Ukpatu. Presenting the motion during today's plenary, Ukpatu noted that marriage remains a vital social institution that promotes family stability, social cohesion, and societal development. She, however, expressed concern that the increasing commercialization of traditional marriage rites has placed enormous financial pressure on intending couples. According to the lawmaker, exorbitant bride prices and inflated list of marriage requirements have made marriage increasingly unforgettable or unaffordable for many young people, thereby contributing to delayed marriages and other social challenges. Ukpatu observed that while cultural traditions must be preserved, prevailing economic realities demand a balanced approach that will ensure the marriage remains accessible and affordable for citizens, particularly young adults seeking to establish families. As part of the motion, the House urged the Akwa Ibom State Traditional Rulers Council to review and standardize bride prices and marriage requirements across various communities in the state. The lawmakers also called on the Ministry of Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs to collaborate with traditional institutions and local government authorities to ensure compliance with approved guidelines. In addition, relevant government departments and agencies were directed to monitor the implementation of any approved measures and report back to the House for further legislative action where necessary. Ruling on the motion, the Speaker of the Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly, Udeme Otong, commended the sponsor and members for their contributions and directed the Clerk of the House, Nsika Kabasi Orok, to communicate the resolutions of the House to the relevant authorities for necessary action. Away from that, the Akwa Ibom State government has announced full restriction of movement during Saturday's statewide monthly environmental sanitation exercise. This was contained in a notice signed by the Commissioner for Information, Anye Kanumana. The notice has urged members of the public that the government of Akwa Ibom State has approved the conduct of the June 2026 edition of the statewide monthly environmental sanitation exercise on Saturday, June 27, 2026, between the hours of 7 a.m. and 10 o'clock in the morning, with full restriction of the human and vehicular movement. This restriction is aimed at ensuring full compliance with the sanitation directive, thereby preserving and enhancing Akwa Ibom's reputation for excellence in environmental management and sanitation. The state government therefore enjoins community leaders, stakeholders, and residents across the state to actively participate and mobilize their communities for a successful execution of the exercise in partnership with the Akwa Ibom State Environmental Protection and Waste Management Agency, except for those performing essential duties. In this next report, childhood obesity is a global epidemic and is now one of the most serious challenges of public health in the 21st century, particularly in urban settings. The rising rate of childhood obesity in some developing countries is as high as that of developed countries, and children in low and middle income countries are exposed to high fat, high sugar, high salts, energy dense, and micronutrient poor foods, which tend to be lower in cost but also lower in nutrient quality. In this report, our reporter takes a look at the dangers of health solutions of childhood obesity as well as measures some parents in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State capital, take in preventing kids from getting obese. Take a listen.
Childhood obesity is a serious medical condition which affects children and adolescents, making them significantly overweight in their age. The Body Mass Index, BMI, which provides a guideline of weight in relation to height, is the accepted measure of overweight and obesity. Your child's doctor can use growth charts, the BMI, and if necessary, the other tests to help you figure out if your child's weight could pose health problems. Some parents in Akwa Ibom State have outlined measures they take to ensure their children do not get obese and the challenges they face.
My house, you have ice cream once in 2 weeks. I don't even buy even fruit drinks. I blend my pineapple and I squeeze it and I give it to you. You're taking it to school. No buying of fruit drink at all. So I try to reduce foods that have preservatives and all of that. Most of these foods that have preservatives, depending on the child's body system, might make that child become obese.
Engage the child in some homework. That is to say, it could be sports, it could be anything, so that the child can also, exercise.
There'll be challenges because when you don't give them what they really want, they feel they are not being loved by you. But as someone who understands the reason why you're doing that, you keep doing what you need to do for them, regardless of how they feel, because when they grow up, they'll really appreciate what you've done for them.
Speaking with XL News, a medical officer in the Ministry of Health, Akwa Ibom State, Dr. Angela Inimfon Abara, stated the dangers of childhood obesity. Difficulty in breathing, eating and sleeping disorders, and social problems are some of the dangers associated with childhood obesity.
There are various dangers that could occur in a child that is obese and generally could predispose a child to having some medical problems like diabetes mellitus, especially the type 2, which was known to be more in adults but now can occur in children. The child could come down with some respiratory disorders like chest tightness, breathlessness, or obstructions in the airways, difficulty in breathing. The child could also be predisposed to having cardiovascular disorders like cardiomyopathies and heart failure. The child could also have sleep apnea, that's difficulty in sleeping. The child could have some eating disorders like bulimia or binge eating, where the child needs to sit and eat so much at a particular time or even hide and eat so much. The child could come down with some liver problems like the liver fatty diseases, come down with some orthopedic problems because of, now the child is obese, could result in osteoarthritis for that child, basically, and other social problems the child could also have.
In the same vein, Dr. Abara informed about the health solutions to childhood obesity. She established that feeding an obese child with lots of vegetables, setting convenient sleeping hours for the child, and also not using food as a source of reward for good behavior are some of the health solutions to childhood obesity.
There are definitely health solutions for a child that is obese, like healthy eating. So you have to put up the child with so much vegetables, fruits, low fat calories. The child has to be on whole grains meals and also lean proteins. The timing of the eating is very, very important for the child. So we also talked about the sleep apnea. So what could be done is the child should be given a convenient time for sleeping. Like for the preschoolers, they should be able to sleep between 11 to 13 hours. For the children between 6 to 12 years, they should be able to sleep between 9 to 12 hours. The children from 13 to 18 should be able to sleep, let's say 8 to 10 hours, at least to help the child. Also talking about choice for non-reward. You shouldn't use food as a reward for a child good behavior, either academically or otherwise, is a bad idea.
Although not all children carrying extra pounds are overweight, some children have larger than average body frames, and children normally carry different amounts of body fat at the various stages of development. And so, you might not know by how your child looks if weight is a health concern. Vera Ozoma, reporting for XL News.
Welcome back to the XL News Hour. In outside the Akwa Ibom State now, Nigeria has announced the discovery of a world-class polymetallic mineral province in Kaduna State containing platinum group metals, gold, nickel, copper, lithium, and rare earth elements in what officials describe as one of the most significant developments in Nigeria's mining sector in recent years. Minister of Solid Minerals Development Dele Alake disclosed this discovery while speaking at the opening ceremony of the African Natural Resources and Energy Investment Summit 2026 in the nation's capital, Abuja. The announcement came shortly after delegates at the summit toured a mining facility operated by Stetson Mining and Company Limited in Abuja, where the company unveiled an estimated 3.3 million metric tons of lithium reserves.
National Nigerian Geological Survey Agency has unveiled a world-class polymetallic mineral province in Kaduna State, and which is of world-class platinum group, precious and critical metal deposits, notable with significant deposits of gold, nickel, copper, lithium, rare earth elements of exceptionally high grade.
Like I said, the Kaduna discovery, verified by the Nigerian Geological Survey Agency, has the potential to strengthen Nigeria's position in the global market for critical mineral essentials to clean energy technologies and advanced manufacturing. Away from discoveries of rare earth elements, senior advocate of Nigeria, Dr. Monday Ubani, has described the proposed creation of state police as one of the most historic and visionary reforms in Nigeria's democratic journey, but warns that the initiative may fail to deliver its full potential without functional local governments and effective safeguards against abuse. Speaking during an interview, Ubani commended the federal government's move to decentralize policing, describing it as a bold step toward restructuring Nigeria's federal system and addressing long-standing security challenges. Ubani noted that the proponents of state police have consistently argued that Nigeria's highly concentrated and centralized policing structure has failed to adequately protect lives and property across the country.
This issue of over-centralization cannot in any way guarantee lives and properties. And over the years, we have seen that we have not been able to attain that level of perfection in terms of proper policy. And this arrangement by this government is clearly something that is commendable, especially by this time as highly historic. And we are very happy concerning that. And of course, I did state that, and I really commend the government for taking these practical steps in really decentralizing the policing architecture.
He acknowledged that some measures had been introduced to limit governors' influence over recruitment and appointments, but argued that leaving the appointment of state commissioners of police in the hands of governors could still create room for abuse. In this next report, the Senate has outlined a series of safeguards aimed at preventing state governors from abusing state police powers, as the Red Chamber passed constitutional amendments to establish decentralized policing across Nigeria. The Senate's leader, Senator Okpeyemi Bamidele, disclosed the measures while leading debate on the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Alteration State Police Bill 2026. Recall that the Senate had passed the bill following a rigorous clause-by-clause consideration, and after more than two-thirds of senators voted in support, through a manual voting process conducted on the floor of the chamber. It now requires passage by the House of Representatives, presidential assent, and approval by a majority of state houses of assembly to become law. Bamidele, in a statement from his office, said the proposed constitutional amendment seeks to create a decentralized policing structure while ensuring that governors cannot deploy state police for partisan, ethnic, religious, sectional, or personal purposes. He said the bill submitted to the National Assembly by the President Bola Tinubu was designed to balance local policing autonomy with national cohesion, accountability, and effective oversight. You're listening to the XL News Hour on XL 106.9 FM. Let's take a breather now. We'll be back in just a moment with politics and so much more. Don't go anywhere.
freedom edion kente XL Citizen Center ado mbogon time maidon esege buana kenti neme ukayidem ofrewo kini esendidem ese sukarenam enyunge bumbeme mentie maidon etangiko kida ukbono isongo wenyin siammo edion kembore fere diunen ediken nyung tanga kikere mo kusongfen mi kembogo freedom XL Citizen Center no ikpan ebanga uswewo mubiarawo kini aforoko mbogomi tangiko anteni worowo ayemenkot muforo irongen kene disiu yomfomi kembogo freedom XL Citizen Center Amedi.
It's Saturday morning and the family fun has just begun. Welcome to the Excellent Family Center, the Kiddies and Family Magazine Show on xl1069 FM. 3 whole hours of laughter, learning, games, stories, music, and everything family. From kiddies shout-outs to parenting tips, cartoons to culture, we've got it all.
No. Amateur, lie down before you hurt yourself. You gotta put your past behind you. Look, kid, bad things happen, and you can't do anything about it, right?
Right.
Repeat after me. Hakuna Matata.
What?
Hakuna Matata. It means no worries.
So, gather the kids, call mom and dad, and let's dive into the fun. This is Excellent Family Center, your feel-good family morning. Elections are not just about voting. They are about understanding. Before the Ballot is XLFM's civic education program preparing citizens for the 2027 elections. One conversation at a time. Know your right. Know the process. Know your power. Mondays, 9:30 a.m. on the XL Super Breakfast Show. Wednesdays, 8:30 p.m. on XL Citizen Center. Before the Ballot, power belongs to the informed.
Welcome back to the XL News Hour on XL 106.9 FM. And talking politics tonight. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory and National Leader of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Nyesom Wike, has urged party members to prepare for a fierce political battle ahead of the 2027 general elections, declaring that political power is never given, but taken through struggle, sacrifice, and hard work. Addressing PDP's 109th National Executive Committee NEC meeting in Abuja, Wike told party faithful that opposition politicians and politics demands resilience, organization, and determination, warning that the party would not support or return to power through entitlement or wishful thinking.
Authentic place that you can run election as far as PDP is concerned. So don't be worried. Don't be thinking, don't know what will happen. Nothing again will. The worst had happened. Nobody touches power. Nobody has done it. Power is taken. The one I'm holding, you must fight for it to take it. Nobody gives power, and nobody is ready to dash you power. You have to fight for it.
Drawing on his own political journey, Wike urged aspirants not to be intimidated by pressure, arrest, or legal battles, arguing that political success is often forged through adversity. And away from that, Paul Ibe, the media advisor and spokesman to the ADC presidential candidate and former vice president of Nigeria, Atiku Abubakar, has criticized President Bola Tinubu's administration, alleging that the government has failed to fulfill its primary responsibility of protecting lives and improving citizens' welfare. Speaking during an interview, Ibe argued that stepping down from office when unable to meet expectations should be seen as an act of responsibility rather than weakness.
It's not a sign of weakness for a leader to resign. It's a patriotic primary responsibility of government is security and welfare. Are we more secured now than we were in 2023? The answer is no. I was reading First Daily newspaper. According to the statistics, about 879 people have been killed and nearly 300 are in captivity every month. Those stats are very frightening. That's a snapshot of the pervasive insecurity that we have.
Responding to claims that government is making progress against insecurity, Ibe dismissed the argument, insisting that the administration's efforts have fallen far short of expectations.
Their best is just not good enough. I mean, we can't continue on this journey of trial and error. The truth of the matter is that Tinubu is incompetent and is clueless. He came, on board with no set skills. Nigeria is a very complex country, and to be able to govern this country, you need to be wired, for that. He is not. About 90 or 100 children are, in captivity in Borno State and in Oyo State, and several other people, scattered, all over the country. They are in captivity.
Paul Ibe further criticized efforts to introduce state policing ahead of the 2027 elections, claiming the move is politically motivated, despite expressing support for the concept in principle. In this next report, Senate President Godswill Akpabio has sworn in 4 newly elected senators who emerged victorious in the recent by-elections conducted by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. The 10 new lawmakers are Senator Okala Nwogu of PDP Rivers Southeast, Senator Mvulu Anza of APC Nasarawa North, Senator Ikeje Asogu of APC Enugu North, and Senator Dayo Faduyile of APC Ondo South. Their inauguration followed by elections to fill vacant seats in the 4 senatorial districts. Akpabio urged them to remain focused on initiatives that would advance national development, encouraging them to place national interest above partisan considerations. The Senate President also advised the new members to familiarize themselves with the provisions of the 1999 Constitution and the Senate Standing Orders as amended in 2023 to guide their legislative responsibilities. Following the swearing-in, the Senate has now reached its full constitutional membership of 109 senators. Current party composition. Earlier, INEC had presented certificates of return to the senators. The INEC chairman, Joash Amopiton, was represented by the supervising National Commissioner, May Agbamuche Mbu, for Rivers State, who was supervising the presentation of certificates of return. And away from politics now to an issue of serious concern, and that's the use of hazardous industrial chemicals like formalin and calcium carbide for food preservation, and the ripening of it poses severe health risk, ranging from acute poisoning to long-term chronic diabetes. These substances are strictly regulated or banned for food use in many countries due to their toxic, corrosive, and carcinogenic properties. In this special report, our reporter Prudence Lawrence seeks to expose the hazardous practices threatening our health.
In the midst of survival in a tough economy, the health of every individual becomes a top priority, and to survive, food is a major essential. According to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, food itself is a major need for survival. But what if the food on your plate is slowly poisoning you? Every day, millions of Nigerians visit the market, touching tomatoes, squeezing fruit, buying meat or palm oil for the family pot, trusting that what we buy will nourish us. But behind the bright colors and quick ripening lies a dangerous truth, one many consumers do not see. In many local markets across the country, sellers in a quest to make ends meet, force fruits such as bananas and plantains to ripen overnight, not by nature, but by calcium carbide, a chemical meant for industrial use. When calcium carbide comes in contact with moisture, it releases acetylene gas, which speeds up ripening, but experts warns that the chemical can cause headaches, dizziness, stomach pain, vomiting, and in severe cases, long-term damages to the nervous system. Yet, the fruits and food still make their way to our tables. Our reporter interviewed a woman on the street who hawks plantain and bananas, and she was able to explain how they ripen this fruit.
Imai de mboro me yu komo me kurwa. Iya bene yi di na mukufo. Ubagi ni fofo ye. Isi me ye imike misan kaba kimo. Aye dissolve. Even isi me ke parado. Or better still isasan ke paradi bobo yi nam. Kiti esi di dinge. Ubagi ni make me use detergent. So imai yongi ide be yentro na sane ye kimo ngonam. Umo sane ye kimo ngoro me di si me ke parado. Abene ye sanke esarufo na me ye ki tiesi dinge ubagi ni uba wesi ibop ntementum ubagi ni nko mesi ma agberi ni eyo asima na asu owo ubiari ni adiki de detergent ro kaba emisi bobo ye ke patko esi oye ntri nam ke yo ayo ma mi anye one food day nyani bi bene ye ndien isanke sarufo ibop ke parinam.
Other sources of food, like beans, is not excluded. A mother, Mrs. Rachel Ashed, shared her experience.
Recently, I bought beans. So after boiling the beans for my kids, I discovered that after they ate the food, they started throwing up. They were also crying, complaining about stomach pains. And I've discovered that the preservative that was used in that beans is what caused that indigestion. The beans did not even digest in their system. Like the four of them, they were throwing up, they were vomiting, they were pooing all through the night. Apart from that, I also have this experience in banana. There is no natural sweetness. If you should buy banana today in the market, the taste, that original taste of a ripe banana, you won't have it.
Several consumers corroborated these claims, sharing experiences of unknowingly purchasing chemically treated food. They noted that this substance led to rapid spoilage, altered flavors, and adverse physical effect.
Mo mi mana kama ina mburi rame abana de mburu ri mburu ba so mai pai anu modi o ma uton gira igba mi the same thing abana de big bari mu be ni bobo fere yo ti se igba ma tori no af mana nam di ba all those kind thing ye da na mi esi don go logeran ari to karan to geran adu in normally no ada na ba se gi buru na ara abene dem ni di ari do andam dan de dem stew bo ye check on those things ke ma nam borobar
orang ye try we say we preserve preserve mo ba say preserve igba itang chemical don igba nyam no me we di any cancer not like the fertilizer itang fertilizer I don't go come in a mini taste use kaba preserve ye try change boundary.
In addition to the claims about food ripening, the hawker also went further to say there are reasons for such acts.
Nte ba di rado nyani mai de mboro mi yu ko mi si de be yen songwa ani ba we usong na abiru mo de mbo mi kurwa ru pe ge ticket ana pe ticket and ticket mi asi bonoko so mo pe ticket mi uma o mo de from the bush market e be ne ye from urwai sari kororo mbendi town adi busong obene ko fok ma di fofok ye ubia di nyan ye fan bodo asi pono kok amana pono fengo ntem miendi doko ndubegu yamboro mi yukom ami me ko fong wen man ka tutum nam meni family semen nsem bombanga meni ntoyan meni school fee di pe even a tam mo for use kede so mo bene fan bo murian ngbo no song ayenam ana nam bo mi ya wak so da toro ayongo ni e kok se kamu fong fu ayongo se akama sirem ayongo rianga nam bo kere.
A study by Dr. Aikere Morgan Ekanem, Department of Community Medicine, University of Uyo Teaching Hospital, Uyo, Nigeria, published in the Journal of Advance in Medicine and Medical Research, examines how calcium carbide is used to ripen fruit and documents poor awareness of the health effects of the chemicals in the body. The research was conducted by medical professionals at University of Uyo Teaching Hospital and University of Uyo. Speaking to our reporter, Dr. Rhoda Asukwo, a clinical dietitian, also supported this journal. She listed long-term side effects from a clinical perspective and the health consequences after repeated exposure of these harmful chemicals to the vital organs of the human body.
Immediate experience or immediate symptoms one may experience could be a gastrointestinal symptom, vomiting, diarrhea, severe abdominal pains, burning sensation in the throat, sometimes in worst case scenario, seizures, long-term and systemic impact, particularly concerning the digestive system, liver, kidney, and overall metabolic health. Starts with the stomach. Over the years or over the month of consistent usage of or being exposed to these harmful health chemicals, one may experience peptic ulcer disease, of course, gastritis, anything that can lead to corrosive inflammation of the throat, and in some cases, in worst case scenario, may actually lead to cancers of the esophageal, that's the area of the throat, the esophagus, the airways, and even the nose, that's nasopharyngeal cancers. And as for the liver, kidneys, it can actually cause a lot of problems. And the liver and the kidneys are generally the organs responsible for waste and toxins removal. So in a case where they are unable to do this because of these chemicals, it can become a serious problem and then can even lead to some renal cancers. It can lead to renal cancers and a lot of problems with the liver. For example, can lead to what we call fibrosis of the liver and can lead to death, of course, in such cases. A lot of hormonal imbalances and metabolic disturbances or metabolic disorders.
Meats and pomo are not excluded in all of this. They are also preserved with alum to quicken its hardening, so the seller can resell them the next day. A market woman at Mbiabong Market had this to say about how cow skin, popularly known as pomo, one of the most affordable meats in Nigeria, is preserved.
People no sell fish if they cannot remain. Some the one where they stop, they go buy alum, put them, so they think go make the body to be strong. You understand? But my own, when I see, I dey like to put them for fish, but no, I allow that alum stuff because if they get small taste.
Chemicals used to preserve fruit and meat are designed to inhibit microbial growth and extend shelf life. Still, their misuse, particularly in excessive amounts or through the application of illegal substances, poses significant health risks. These ranges from acute allergy reactions, severe headaches, chronic conditions like cancer, neurotoxicity, and liver or kidney failure. Dr. Asukwo went further to explain that this effect cuts across all ages. She mentioned some method of prevention and how to spot food that are preserved with chemicals, especially fish and meat in our local market.
Everybody, there's no a specific group. However, it's worse when it comes to children, of course, pregnant women, of course, and the elderly. They actually are susceptible to drastic changes, for example, involving the liver, kidney, and the digestive system. But generally, everyone is prone to that. And how can we prevent this? Okay, well, number one, I don't know how we can cope the prevention of ripening foods such as bananas, mangoes, and fruits especially, and then perishable meat foods that, for example, for example, tomatoes or foods that are being brought in from other areas, and then formalin, which is actually used in the morgue or the mortuary, or to preserve human parts from decaying, or parts from decaying are now being used to preserve food from decaying. That's rather unfortunate. And calcium carbide that is used in welding will now be used to, cause ripening. Those things are very, very corrosive. So how would you know meals that it's advisable, in as much as we don't know how deep it's gone into the produce or the things we're supposed to consume? Proper washing is expected. Have to wash it very well. And then for fishes or fish are being stored and preserved with those things, it's advisable that you at least wash your fish very well. And then how would you identify the one that is being preserved with these things? Now normal has smell everywhere and all of that. Okay, so with that, you've seen flies coming to or in the case of the ones that are being soaked in these chemicals, you will not see around, and that smell of fish will not be there, the odor. So you have to note that. And for cases like banana, of course, you know how you can differentiate between the ones that are overly ripe with the use of these chemicals. They will be yellow, looking very yellowish, but at least you can identify some spots on the body. So you see some dark spots in between that will now tell you, okay, this thing was actually forced to be ripe. Okay, and it's advisable that anything you bring in, you have to wash it with at least water and salt. Okay, and we try as much as possible, if it's possible, to cultivate our fresh vegetables, tomatoes. If it's possible, look for the ones that are fresh, that are being sold within your locality, and avoid things that are coming from afar.
In May 2025, the Nigerian Senate officially intervened, mandating the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration Control, NAFDAC, and the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security to investigate the alarming rise of artificial fruit ripening. This resolution sets the stage for a coordinated national response to protect public health.
I rise to move the motion that the Senate do receive and consider the report of the Joint Committee on Health, Secondary and Tertiary, and the Agricultural Production Services and Rural Development Committee in respect of a motion on the urgent need to investigate with an intention to halt the continuous unwholesome practices of chemical ripening of fruits by our fruit sellers in Nigeria.
Many of these fruit sellers are ignorant of the health hazards caused by consumption of artificially ripened fruits.
If we don't send people to jail, this practice will not stop.
In support, say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it.
By August of that year, the strategy shifted from investigation to active intervention. The Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC, intensified its nationwide crackdown on the use of hazardous chemicals, most notably calcium carbide, used to forcefully ripen staples such as bananas, plantains, and mangoes. The message to every vendor, middleman, and wholesalers is clear. The cost of doing business must never be the cost of a human life. While the economy remains a challenge, We cannot afford to trade our future for a faster harvest or a longer shelf life. We must choose the slow patience of nature over the fast poison of greed. Because in the end, a nation that destroys its food destroys itself. A healthy nation is a wealthy nation. Value life. Obey the law. Let our food be our medicine, not our silent killer. I am Prudence Lawrence, reporting for xl1069 FM. This special report was edited by Okodi Okodi and voiced by Prudence Lawrence.
You're listening to the XL News Hour on XL 106.9 FM.
Afodo Italian isonga kwa ibo me Nigeria mi. Ameme di buana kenti neme adata ifyo mentarinyen adina mukaraka iso kenkot me uforo. Akodo fododo Kennedy buana me Samuel Williams Mike Mbo Afridon XL Citizen Center kwa akat Monday to akat Friday. Donken kanika itiaba okonoyo Mike XL 106.9 FM. Mbo Freedom XL Citizen Center. Show you taniko yagiron ofon.
Entrepreneurs, are you ready to showcase your business live on air? Yeah!
Share your journey, expertise, and passion with our engaged audience. It's not just news, it's the start of a conversation. Let your business take its place in the dialogue. Join us every weekday from 5:45 p.m. to 6:45 p.m. for one unforgettable hour. History, politics, it's all here, and it's all about you. Now's the moment you've been waiting for. Your business, your voice, your story. XL News Hour, where your business makes headlines.
And talking business now on the XL News Hour. Fresh data released by the Central Bank of Nigeria reveals that credit to the federal government rose sharply over the 12 months ending in May 2026. The surge highlights an aggressive public sector appetite for borrowing, despite the prevailing tight monetary conditions in the country. According to the CBN's latest monetary and credit statistics on Wednesday, total credit to the government climbed to 40.38 trillion naira in May 2026, up from 22.99 trillion naira recorded in the corresponding period of 2025. This marks a year-on-year increase of 17.39 trillion naira, approximately representing a massive 75.6% rise in lending exposure to the federal and public sector. On a month-on-month basis, the government's borrowing momentum showed no signs of slowing down, expanding by 779.70 billion naira in just 30 days from the 39.60 trillion naira reported in April 2026. In other business news, the Central Bank of Nigeria today directed banks and all financial institutions to freeze transactions, accounts, and assets linked to 6 individuals and 4 Bureau de Change BDC operators designated for terrorism financing. According to the Apex Bank, the latest update to the Nigerian sanctions list, effective June 18, 2026, is binding on all regulated institutions and requires immediate implementation. The CBN informed regulated entities of fresh sanctions issued by the Nigerian Sanctions Committee and the United States Department of Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control under Executive Order 13224, as amended, the circular stated. Now to the international scene. Protesters in Nairobi today ran for cover as shots rang out and Kenyan police deployed tear gas against them. Police had previously shut down key routes around the capital, hoping to prevent demonstrations marking 2 years since a landmark Gen Z uprising. Thousands of people angry about economic hardship and corruption took to the streets in 2024. The day ended with them storming parliament to force the cancellation of new taxes. More than 60 people were killed and 82 forcibly or involuntarily disappeared over the course of the demonstrations, and that's according to rights groups Circus or Civicus Monitor. June 25th has since become a day of annual protest as frustration with President William Ruto's government continues. Ruto said this week that people have a right to protest, but warned against anyone mobilized to destroy property or cause chaos. Elsewhere, powerful twin earthquakes have killed 32 people and injured more than 700 in Venezuela. The nation's interim president, Delcy Rodriguez, made this known after a massive shocks collapsed entire buildings and sent people running in panic. Authorities and average Venezuelans were clambering on piles of rubble in the hunt for survivors after the disaster that prompted policy leader Delcy Rodriguez to declare a state of emergency. According to the United States Geological Survey, the earthquakes of magnitude 7.2 and 7.5 struck the same area of Venezuela, causing buildings in the capital to crumble and forcing the closure of the country's main airport. You're still listening to the XL News Hour on XL 106.9 FM. Heading straight now to the world of entertainment, Nigerian Afrobeat singer Spyro has expressed concern over the role of religious leaders amid the country's ongoing economic difficulties and security challenges. The singer behind the hit song Who's Your Guy stated that many influential clerics have not been outspoken enough about the issues affecting Nigerians. Spyro emphasized that religious leaders owe it to their followers to speak up on matters that impact their welfare and daily lives. He noted that, given their influence, they should take a more active stance in addressing national concerns.
We are talking of insecurity. Preach about insecurity. Tell the people on how to secure themselves. Keep the bane of the conversation where they get for church. Tell them to go get PVCs. Tell them but unfortunately, the more the country is spoiled, the more these people they make money. Anywhere where country get issues, the people that benefit the most are religious leaders. We should make sure that they hold all these old people accountable.
The musician further alleged that some members of the clergy may be unwilling to criticize prevailing conditions because they benefit from them. Still talking entertainment, Nollywood actor and media personality Nancy Sime has opened up about her views on having children, saying that having or loving kids does not automatically mean a person must become a parent. Speaking during that interview, she explained that while she has genuine affection for children, her understanding of that love does not necessarily translate into a desire to have her own children. According to her, being fond of children can also involve a thoughtful awareness of life's realities, including the responsibilities and uncertainties that come with raising a child. She added that for some people, choosing not to have children may come from a place of care and deep consideration rather than a lack of love.
You know the crazy thing about loving children? I feel like if you really love children, you wouldn't want to bring them to the world. Are you not suffering? Earth not ghetto? You're not going through a lot? Don't you wish some days that you were not born? Did you ask to be here?
The actress further noted that conversations around parenthood are often influenced by societal pressures and expectations. However, she emphasized that individuals should be allowed to decide whether or not they want to become parents. And talking sports now on the XL News Hour, the Elephants of Cote d'Ivoire can make history tonight when they battle Curaçao in their last group game of the ongoing FIFA World Cup tonight. After beating Ecuador 1-0 in their opening fixture, the Elephants lost 2-1 to Germany and need a win or a draw this evening to clinch one of the round of 32 tickets Cote d'Ivoire have never made it past the group stage of the World Cup since the debut in 2006, but have a big chance to advance this time. The Group E encounter is set to kick off at 9 p.m. Same time, Ecuador will take on group leaders Germany. Tunisia will face the Netherlands by midnight, while Japan will battle Sweden in Group F. The 2026 FIFA World Cup is co-hosted by the United States of America, Canada, and Mexico. Akila Matwell joins us tonight from the Sports Desk. Hello, Akila.
Hi, Cody. Another evening.
Another evening here, and we're talking Cote d'Ivoire and Curacao tonight. What are we looking at?
Yeah, we're looking at the Ivorians trying to give their all in this game. They've come a long way, just like you reeled out. They've been at the World Cup quite a number of times since their debut in 2006. They were back at the tournament in 2010. They were back in 2014. Now 2026. But have never advanced beyond the group phase of the tournament. So it's a date with destiny for them tonight. A time to make history, and it looks like they can do it, because looking at Curacao, they're the weeping boys of the group. They've not really been fantastic at the tournament, even though they somehow tried to do the unthinkable against Ecuador. They drew that game. So looking at what they were able to do in that game, I think they will be motivated heading into this game. But then the Ivorians, that is Cote d'Ivoire, have so many stars in their team that can hurt Curacao, because you've got a player like Frank Kessie, who plays in Saudi Arabia. You've got Simon Adingra, even though he's been on and off at this tournament. But you've got other fantastic players in that team. There's Fofana, the defensive midfielder. There's also Amad Diallo, who plays for Manchester United. There's Kodilon Kosunu as well. So these are established stars. And coming up against Curacao, who are making their debut at the World Cup, the Ivorians look like the favorites to get the job done tonight. They need a win to seal their place automatically as second in the group. That's waiting to see what happens in the game between Ecuador and Germany. But then that's even an even tougher challenge for Ecuador to get past, because after losing to Ivory Coast 1-0, playing out a draw against Curacao, you have just a point after 2 games. So for them, they need a win and hope that Cote d'Ivoire don't get to win tonight. Or even if Cote d'Ivoire get to win, they need to win that game against Germany. That's even tough. So for Cote d'Ivoire, I think they have their destiny. They have their destiny in their hands.
You sound like you're writing off Curacao tonight.
It's not about writing them off, because when you talk about situations in sports and football, you look at who has the better firepower, who has a bigger chance. Looking at the chance, bookmakers will give this game to the Ivory Coast, and I hope, I feel the same as well. I think Cote d'Ivoire have all it takes to get the job done tonight, but sometimes reality is different from appearance. Appearance can be different, reality can be different, and that is why we have a team like South Africa, who many didn't give a chance, into the round of 32, but Cote d'Ivoire tonight have everything working for them. They can get the job done tonight, advance to the last 32, that is the knockout phase, which will be history for them. Maybe finally the moments to get the monkey off their back. But then it's also an interesting night, because we have other games to look forward to. Ecuador against Germany. Maybe Germany can consolidate, get the win tonight. Even if they lose to Ecuador, they are still top of that group. So it looks like a dead rubber game for Germany, but for Ecuador, all to play for in that game. The Netherlands against Japan, another interesting game. Tunisia against the Netherlands, rather. Tunisia are out of this tournament, regardless of what happens today, because they've lost 2 games already. 3 points cannot even take them through to the next stage. The highest they can finish in this group is, yes, they can finish 4th. That's like the likeliest possibility for them tonight. So those are games we don't really fancy tonight. And the World Cup has been very, very interesting. It's obvious because we've had lots of attendance at games. It's the first World Cup in a very long while that every game has the stadium almost packed full. And you ask the question and you keep wondering, why can't we have this replicated in other tournaments? But then America is a choice destination. The United States of America, Canada as well, Mexico as well. Maybe taking out Mexico, but Everybody in Nigeria, especially, wants to be to the United States of America. Everybody wants to go to Canada. So these are nations that...
I'm from New York myself, you know.
Okay, interesting.
You never knew that?
Yeah, I'm trying to get in tune with that. Maybe your attire says some bit of that, but then it's interesting. I think the World Cup organization-wise has been very, very fantastic, even though there are questions about visa restrictions, about denials of entry into the United States of America. But on a football sense, it's been fantastic. And hopefully, as Africans, we want to see more Africans in the knockout phase. We can see them go maybe farther than they've gone in the past. Morocco were in the semi-final last time. We hope that we can have a team in the final at least this time around.
Absolutely. We talk about organization and we talk about what plays out at the World Cup now. And you take a look at what happens at CAF, competitions. Is there anything that we're looking to learn from the organization of the FIFA World Cup currently now?
I think the lesson is not a football lesson, because when nations thrive, when economies are strong, it rubs off on every other aspect. For America, the United States, for Mexico, for Canada, I think it's not even about a thought. Their economies are very strong. Their people can work and earn good money. To get to the stadium, you need to pay your way to the stadium. To attend a championship outside of your country, you need to have the money to be able to finance such a trip, because this is more like, entertainment. It's a jamboree, it's a holiday for many of these people who have gathered to watch this World Cup. So maybe it's a message to our leaders: please strengthen the economy, make jobs able to pay people, let people live lives that they can be happy with themselves, they can pay their bills, they can have money to spare, they can save money, they can go on vacations, they can go on holidays and enjoy life. Because
buy tickets.
Absolutely, they can buy tickets. People are buying tickets for as high as 6 million naira. If you convert it to naira, how many people can afford that in Nigeria?
For a Akwa United match, I mean, we end up to fill the stadium here.
We open the gates for free.
Yeah, we
put it at 5,000 naira. How many people can buy? So I think it's a big lesson. Africa needs to wake up. We need to be able to work and earn good pay, live good lives. I know you love good lives.
Absolutely. I'm about the good life.
So if the government does well, everything will turn out well and we can have this kind of attendance.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for those updates.
My pleasure.
And that's it on the XL News Hour tonight. And just so you know, Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly has moved to address excessive bride price and marriage requirements in communities across the state. And you also heard that the Akwa Ibom State government has announced full restriction of movement during Saturday's statewide monthly environmental sanitation exercise. And on the national scene, Nigeria's government has said that it has discovered world-class polymetallic mineral province in Kaduna State containing platinum group metals, gold and rare earth elements. And tonight, history-chasing elephants of Cote d'Ivoire will be battling Curaçao in a final group game of ongoing FIFA World Cup tonight at 9 p.m. Nigerian time. That's it on the news this evening, produced by Menemenang. Top of the hour, 7 o'clock is XL Citizen Center with the Ibibio team. It's called Afe Mbonilong. Stay with us. My name is Okodi. Have a beautiful Thursday night.